In the world of Hollywood, few figures have experienced the heights of fame and the depths of controversy like Mel Gibson. But beyond his cinematic achievements and personal scandals, there is a lesser-known aspect of his life that continues to intrigue many: his powerful, unwavering faith. Despite the challenges and criticisms he has faced, he remains one of the few filmmakers willing to confront spiritual themes in a way that both captivates and unsettles audiences. What drives a man like him to defy the norms of Hollywood and invest his own fortune in a project as polarizing as The Passion of the Christ? And why does his connection to spirituality seem to intensify rather than wane, even in the face of relentless opposition? The answers lie in his unique relationship with faith and storytelling. For Gibson, filmmaking is not merely an artistic endeavor, it is a spiritual mission. Unlike many of his contemporaries, who approach religion as an abstract concept or a mere backdrop to drama, Gibson sees it as the very foundation of existence. If you enjoy content that helps you grow spiritually, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our community for more inspiration. Let's get started. His devotion is not performative, nor is it a strategic tool for public relations. It is personal, ingrained in his upbringing, and reflected in the choices he has made throughout his career. Born into a large Catholic family in 1956, Gibson was immersed in religious teachings from an early age. When his family moved to Australia, his connection to faith only deepened, shaping his worldview in ways that would later manifest in his work. While his initial rise to fame came through action-packed blockbusters like Mad Max and Lethal Weapon, there was always a sense that he was searching for something beyond commercial success. Hollywood embraced him as an action star, but Gibson was more interested in narratives that explored morality, sacrifice, and redemption, core themes in Christian theology. His shift from acting to directing marked a turning point, allowing him to fully control the messages he wanted to convey. His 1995 epic, Braveheart, was not just a historical drama. It was a story about faith, defiance, and the cost of standing up for one's beliefs. Winning 2 Academy Awards, including Best Director, Gibson proved that audiences craved stories of conviction and resilience. But it was the Passion of the Christ that would define his career in a way no other project could. At a time when Hollywood was becoming increasingly secular, Gibson took an immense risk by dedicating himself to a film that many deemed too religious, too violent, and too controversial to succeed. Yet his determination was unwavering. He was not merely making a film, he was delivering a testimony. Under the dim glow of his private study, Mel Gibson meticulously sifted through historical texts and theological writings, piecing together the foundation of what would become The Passion of the Christ. This was not a film born from a casual idea, but rather a project that had been gestating in his mind for years. Hollywood, however, had no interest in backing such an audacious vision. Executives saw no commercial potential in a biblical epic filmed entirely in ancient languages. Despite being one of the most bankable names in the industry, Gibson faced rejection after rejection, yet he remained steadfast, driven by something greater than himself. That same unwavering faith and resilience are what define those who seek truth beyond what the world accepts. If you've ever questioned your purpose or felt the weight of doubt, understanding the revelations of faith can provide the serenity you need. This is exactly what The Secret of Jesus' Apparitions offers, a path to clarity and peace through his revelations. This ebook goes into his prophecies and offers insight into what lies ahead. It's available for free in the pinned comment. Grab it now before the edition's gone. Determined to move forward, he made a radical decision. He would fund the project himself. Committing approximately $30 million of his own fortune, Gibson took a risk that few would dare in an industry driven by financial security. Every aspect of the film was carefully crafted to align with his unwavering vision. Instead of hiring writers to embellish the story, he insisted on script authenticity, drawing directly from the Gospels. He also consulted religious scholars and historians, ensuring that the details, from the garments to the dialects, were as accurate as possible. The film's linguistic authenticity became one of its defining characteristics. Instead of English, Gibson chose to have the actors speak Aramaic, Latin, and Hebrew, the languages of first-century Jerusalem. This decision, while reinforcing historical accuracy, further alienated studios that believed audiences would reject a subtitled religious film. But Gibson was resolute. To him, this was not a typical production. It was a mission. He believed that removing the barrier of modern language would force viewers to engage with the raw emotional intensity of the story, rather than being distracted by dialogue familiar to their ears. Casting the role of Jesus was another challenge. Gibson sought an actor who could withstand not only the physical demands of the role, but also the intense spiritual weight it carried. After careful deliberation, Jim Caviezel was chosen. Unbeknownst to him at the time, this role would become one of the most transformative experiences of his life. He would soon endure physical agony mirroring that of Christ, but the trials of filming were only the beginning. Production moved forward despite the skepticism surrounding it. Every day on set was an uphill battle, not only because of the grueling conditions, but also due to the growing external pressure from critics who accused the film of being unnecessary, divisive, and too extreme. Yet, Gibson remained unfazed. He was prepared to sacrifice financial comfort, professional relationships, and even his own reputation to bring his vision to life. The first signs that The Passion of the Christ was more than just a film surfaced during the earliest days of filming. The atmosphere on set was unlike any other production Jim Caviezel had experienced. Cast and crew members reported an unshakable sense that they were part of something beyond themselves, something almost sacred. However, this reverence was accompanied by an eerie weight, an undercurrent of tension that many couldn't quite explain. Then came the lightning strike. On a clear day, with no storm clouds in sight, a bolt of lightning struck Caviezel while he was preparing for a scene. The force knocked him off his feet, leaving him momentarily stunned. Miraculously, he survived with no serious injuries, but the incident sent a ripple of unease through the crew. Some dismissed it as a freak accident, but others believed it was an ominous sign, either of divine affirmation or something more unsettling. Just as faith led Gibson to pursue his vision against all odds, the answers you seek might be closer than you think. If you're looking for understanding, don't forget to grab your copy of this free ebook before the last copies are gone. Find it in the first pinned comment. As the days progressed, unexplained events continued. The extreme physical toll on Caviezel became evident when he dislocated his shoulder while carrying the massive wooden cross. Each take intensified his pain, making his depiction of Christ's suffering eerily authentic. He later revealed that during the brutal flagellation scene, the whips, though carefully choreographed, struck him for real, cutting through his skin. The injuries mounted: hypothermia from the harsh weather, migraines, infections, but he refused to step away from the role. Other cast members experienced similar hardships. One of the assistant directors was also struck by lightning on a separate occasion. Technicians found their equipment failing inexplicably at crucial moments, causing frustrating delays. Some even reported witnessing shadowy figures on the periphery of the set, flickering in and out of sight. These incidents fed into an atmosphere of mounting tension. Beyond the physical and technical difficulties, there was something greater at play. A psychological and spiritual strain that weighed heavily on everyone involved. Some crew members admitted to struggling with nightmares, disturbing visions, or sudden waves of unease when filming specific scenes, particularly those depicting the crucifixion. Caviezel himself later described feeling an overwhelming sense of darkness pressing in on him during key moments of filming, as though he were being spiritually attacked. When the movie was finally released, the world responded with an intensity rarely seen for a religious film. Theaters were filled not just with typical moviegoers, but with entire congregations, religious leaders, and skeptics alike, all eager to witness what had already been described as one of the most powerful depictions of Jesus' final hours ever put to screen. The sheer emotional weight of the film was undeniable. Viewers sobbed. Some left the theatre visibly shaken, and others reported feeling a powerful sense of conviction or renewal in their faith. Despite this unprecedented reaction, the film was instantly polarizing. Critics were divided. Some hailed it as a masterpiece of religious cinema, while others condemned it as gratuitously violent and emotionally manipulative. Mainstream media outlets fixated on its unrelenting brutality, questioning whether the graphic nature of Christ's suffering was necessary or merely indulgent. But for Gibson, the intensity was not just intentional, it was essential. He argued that the sanitized depictions of Christ's crucifixion often failed to convey the true extent of his suffering, which, according to biblical accounts, was excruciating beyond imagination. Religious organizations across the world grappled with how to respond. Many Christian leaders embraced the film, praising its faithfulness to Scripture and its ability to provoke spiritual reflection. Churches organized screenings, using it as a tool for evangelism, while others incorporated discussions about the film into sermons. However, not all reactions were positive. Jewish organizations and some religious scholars raised concerns about its portrayal of certain groups, particularly in the way the film depicted the role of Jewish authorities in Christ's crucifixion. Accusations of anti-Semitism surfaced, sparking intense debates about historical representation versus artistic interpretation. The world often rejects what it does not understand, but truth has a way of reaching those who are ready to receive it. If you're searching for guidance, this ebook might hold what you need. Act fast. Only a few copies remain. The Vatican's response further fueled the discourse. Though Pope John Paul II reportedly saw the film and was quoted as saying, "It is as it was," the Vatican later distanced itself from the comment, neither officially endorsing nor condemning the film. This ambiguity only added to the film's mystique, leading some to believe it had received papal approval, while others saw it as a controversial stance, even within Catholic leadership. Yet beyond the controversies and debates, one undeniable truth remained. The Passion of the Christ had left an indelible mark on cinema and culture. Theaters reported instances where people fell to their knees in prayer after the credits rolled. Some viewers claimed to experience personal spiritual awakenings, while others struggled to process the sheer emotional weight of what they had witnessed. The impact was far greater than even Gibson had anticipated. Years after the movie had cemented itself as one of the most controversial yet spiritually impactful films of all time, whispers of something even more extraordinary began to surface. Rumors circulated that Mel Gibson had experienced a supernatural encounter, an event so profound that it reportedly altered his perspective on faith, destiny, and his role as a filmmaker. The speculation began when a few close confidants of Gibson hinted that he had received a divine message, one that supposedly came in the form of a direct vision or communication with Jesus Christ himself. While the details remained elusive, the implications were staggering. Those familiar with Gibson's personal struggles knew that he had endured periods of immense turmoil, both professionally and personally. His career had been marked by remarkable successes, but also marred by scandal and controversy. To many, it seemed plausible that such an encounter, if real, could have served as a moment of reckoning, an opportunity for renewal, or even a call to further his spiritual mission through cinema. The nature of this supposed revelation was debated in hushed tones, particularly among those who had worked closely with him. Some claimed that it was not a single event, but rather a series of moments in which Gibson became convinced that he was being guided towards something greater. Others suggested that his vision mirrored biblical encounters where figures such as Moses or Paul received life-altering divine instructions. The idea that Gibson, a man who had already devoted so much of his work to religious themes, might have been chosen to deliver a new message only added to the intrigue. The secrecy surrounding the event only fueled further speculation. Unlike many public figures who eagerly share their spiritual awakenings, Gibson remained largely silent. No official statement confirmed or denied the rumors, yet his behavior suggested a profound shift. People who knew him noticed that his spiritual conversations had become more intense and that he was quietly determined to work on projects that went a little further into religious topics. While skeptics dismissed the story as exaggeration or myth-making, others pointed out that such experiences were not without precedent. Throughout history, countless religious leaders, visionaries, and even artists have claimed to receive divine messages, shaping their work in ways that left lasting cultural and spiritual legacies. If Gibson had truly been entrusted with a prophecy, the question remained: what was it? And how would he choose to reveal it? Like him, who followed his calling despite rejection, you too might be on the verge of uncovering something life-changing. If you haven't yet downloaded your free copy, please remember that there are only a limited number of copies available. Check the first pinned comment before it's too late. Gibson's fascination with faith and redemption had always been evident in his work, but after the rumored encounter, there was a noticeable shift in his demeanor. Those closest to him spoke of a man who carried a new weight on his shoulders, as if burdened with knowledge too great to share lightly. While he had always been outspoken about his beliefs, there was now a quiet urgency in his discussions about spirituality, as though he had glimpsed something that left no room for doubt. Gibson's path had always been based on a powerful, almost obsessive search for religious truth, unlike the stories of other Hollywood stars who turned to faith after personal problems. Yet, he had also witnessed firsthand the price of success, the way fame could erode one's sense of self, leading to destructive paths that few managed to escape. He had seen it in others and had, at times, felt it within himself. The contrast between those who found spiritual redemption and those who were consumed by the weight of their own celebrity fascinated him. He had often spoken about the dangers of the industry, how it could strip people of their identity, leaving them empty despite their achievements. It was no coincidence that many of the most talented artists in history had met tragic ends. Figures like Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and Amy Winehouse, all possessing extraordinary gifts, yet suffering from serious internal struggles. But Gibson had also seen the opposite, the rare few who, despite their demons, found their way back to something greater than themselves. He had studied their stories, recognizing the common thread that separated those who lost themselves from those who reclaimed their faith. For him, the answer lay not in external success, but in spiritual grounding. If this message makes you think and you feel it connects with you, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Also, if you really want to support our work and help us keep creating valuable content, consider giving us a super thanks. Join this amazing community and don't miss any news. Whether his rumored encounter with Jesus had truly happened or not, one thing was clear. His artistic mission was far from over. There was talk of him working on another biblical project, one that would go beyond the Passion of the Christ in scope and ambition. Some speculated that it would focus on themes of resurrection and redemption, delving into the unseen realms of spiritual warfare. If the Passion had been about suffering, this new project, some believed, would be about the victory that follows. Those who had once dismissed him as a fading Hollywood relic were forced to reconsider. Gibson was not merely a filmmaker. He had become something more, a storyteller whose work transcended entertainment, forcing audiences to confront questions about faith, morality, and the unseen forces shaping the world around them.